So these are Mimi's works here, and if you get the catalogue, you'll see there's these sort of works as well.
And I just wanted to say, this is Dan Freen as well. He actually helps me, he takes the photographs. So it's really nice to have him here as well. Because he's got the technical knowledge. Right. I don't have the technical knowledge.
And you may recognise Mimi is in the photos, the model as well as the artist, so that would be tricky to photograph yourself.
Yes.
So, according to the catalogue, you've captured the tenor of our times with remarkable poignancy, and there's no disputing the pop culture obsession with the living dead. Are you obsessed with the living dead?
I don't think I'm obsessed with the living dead as such, but I am interested in images that suggest pain or death. Yeah, I do find that quite fascinating. And it's probably sort of a bit disturbing and conflicting with some of my kind of feminist beliefs, but I quite like that I find it disturbing and fascinating and criticise myself for liking it at the same time.
It's very glamorous.
That's right.
Glam horror.
It is. So it's sort of not really a real fascination with the probably quite a serious side of pain or death. You know, it's really candied because of this beautification that is juxtaposed with it.
Right. It hits you on two levels kind of equally. That's the thing that I get from your work. The glamour is very seductive and the horror is very repulsive. And you kind of punched on two fronts.
Yeah.
Or kind of drawn and hit on two fronts.
And I think that's how I feel when I look at photographs of, you know, or you just watch shitty television at 8 o'clock at night and there's always a dead prostitute or something. It's like it annoys the fuck out of me, but I actually am drawn to it as well, you know. So I really like that. I really like the sort of perpetual feeling it makes you feel, like interest and fascination, but wrongness, but disgust. So it's this kind of this vortex. So I like that you can see both sides then.
And it reminds me of a certain tradition of horror films. Are you interested in cinematography at all? I mean, like Italian horror films are renowned for being Dario Argento.
Yeah,
of course.
I love it. I love them.
Very glamorous.
Yeah, very glamorous.
And quite nasty.
And very wrong, you know, and over the top and great colours and, you know, but above anything on a sort of personal level, I like them because, you know, horror is not something that really you experience as a fairly privileged middle-class white girl. So it's a kind of perverse fascination.
Really?
Well, maybe if you break a finger, I don't know.
Not real horror.
Not real horror, not real horror.
Well, the interesting thing, I mean, some of your work, obviously it's a bit pornographic too, so it could be described as that. And I've read it said that the pornography and horror are unique in terms of art forms because the viewer reacts symptomatically to the subject matter.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like when you see horror, you're afraid.
Yeah.
And pornography, obviously, people look at to get sexually aroused.
Yes,
and so there is this direct kind of bodily reaction to those genres.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I guess with my work, the only way to kind of try and put yourself in those situations, apart from just looking at work, is to physically try and put yourself in those situations, which is kind of a role play and quite a fun thing to do, you know, to practice what it's like to be seductive and to play around with all of those sorts of visual codes and poses and take cues from a lot of things like pornography or fashion photography or horror movies or something. You know, that's fun, that's role play, because in reality you aren't a porn star and you're not in a horror movie, you know.
Of course not. And so you're directing yourself with these?
Yeah, well, how it works is I talk with Dan about the idea, and then, you know, so we have a kind of treatment in a way.
We try and storyboard it a little bit too. So
really?
Sort of, yeah, we do. We go in with very definite poses and ideas. So, you know, Mimi will sort of go, this is what I'm thinking, this is what we'd like to try to achieve. And then we always get that, but we probably get, I'd say like half of the stuff is actually kind of created on the day, and half of it is all premeditated, direct poses. And sometimes we'll actually go through and find, like, you know, fashion photography. Like this series here, we were looking at like a lot of Nick Knight's fashion work.
Okay.
But what we were looking for, we couldn't actually really find. It's sort of, you find images that go, oh yeah, that's sort of the feeling, but we couldn't really find the actual sort of poses. We sort of made them up as we went along. But you have an idea of what you'd like to do. You go, okay, we're going to do this straight body back pose. We're going to do this one here. We're going to do that. We're going to do this. And with that one there, for example, when you're sort of severing limbs, like that's quite a simple little severing. But we've got some where like we've got legs severed and arms severed and severed head and all this sort of stuff. And that it gets really quite. You have to get really particular about what you need to make up the shot.
Because of the post-production part of it.
Massive.
Like, the retouch, he's probably got the hardest job of all.
Yeah.
It's like, so we have to have all the elements so that we can make the finished art, including the meat. Like we have to, like, you know, you photograph all the meat on the correct angles. And
I was looking at that and thinking that looks like a tray of chops or something.
But Dan got the meat. What is it?
Yeah,
Bit of
that's pork actually. I went to a
Okay.
butcher and asked what the inside of a human looks like.
Long pig.
Well, we got pig and we got some other stuff as well, and just, you know, I got him to cut through all bits and pieces, different slices of meat, and we used, it was really bloody and messy actually. By the end of the day, it was like,
Pretty
it was
gross.
frozen at the start of the day. By the end of the day, we were dipping it in blood, and it was,
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's remarkable how many people don't see the finger for quite a while looking at that.
Wow.
What's the eyes? I mean, you're attracted to the eyes.
Yeah, you know what I like about this one is my eyes are just ever so slightly out of focus, the finger's in focus.
Well, yeah, there's focus right here. And
So it's interesting that people go for the eyes then. Very, very interesting.
Well, it's evolution. It's how we interact and communicate with people. We look at each other's eyes.
Window to the soul, as they say.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, so, and then when we're doing the shot, what's really fun is I'll be mucking around, picking out a pubic hair or, you know, it's kind of just being pretty boring, right? And then Dan will say, hold it there, that looks interesting.
You just find a pose like that. And actually with the with the NFT stuff, we actually set up, we had a really big mirror in the studio, which was that was new for us, and we set that up. So
it was behind
it was
the
set
camera.
up behind me, so Mimi could
okay.
interplay with itself in the mirror, and
get the reaction
right,
I want.
and then she'd get what she thinks is the right pose, and then I'd tweak it. Because when you take a photo of someone and you're posing someone, like you actually physically have to like push quite hard, and I'll sort of tell you, push your hip that way. You know, it's just like traditional sort of fashion photography.
It's really funny. I love it because I'm not a model at all, but I feel that way. But then we get the shots back, and I've got like little tubby tummy.
Yeah.
But I really like that. It kind of looks sort of like
feminine, I guess.
You know, a sort of very old-fashioned picture or something. You know, so we leave all that in. It's fun.
So what about the ones that don't have you in them?
Yeah, well, this was because I'd been working with flowers. We had some tulips, and it's the beginning of more ideas that I want to do. So this is like a little bit of sourdough, and I'll take from it and put into the next series. But this was a little experiment where we were dripping glucose over the flowers, and Dan took this shot, and I really liked it because it linked really nicely to these works, and it was sort of about
it's got a kind of an archetypal horror thing. It's like alien eggs or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It actually links quite well to the next series, which was after that, which is a series of slugs and snails, and that series has Mimi effectively dead and wasted in a forest scape
with slugs and snails coming out of bits,
and lots of like gloopy, boozy
Really?
stuff. Yeah, it's really.
I'll look forward to seeing
Yeah.
that.
It's pretty, and you know, that was actually really fun.
Yeah.
Snails and slugs move a lot quicker than you think.
Yeah.
Actually, they were just like, you know, like whoa. Like it was really hard to rank, and they're really small as well. So like picking them and trying to move them without breaking them was really
You did a good
really
job.
tricky. The slugs particularly, you know, you drop them and then they're like, you know. It's really,
Yeah. So that's yeah, linking to this work and then inspiring the next work, and it is all following from that original body of work, which isn't here, but some people might have seen where there's blood coming out of my orifices.
that's that one there.
This is from that series, is that right?
Yeah. So I'm continuing. I'm very interested in sort of, again, the sort of body fluids and disease, and that being a symbol of something and also a metaphor of sort of excreting and exposing.
Right. Well,
Yes.
thank you very much. That was great, and thank you, Dan, for coming along and giving
Thank
us
you
some
so
insight into the
much,
process.
and thank you for the opportunity to be involved as well.
Thanks for the work.
Very grateful.
We love having your work on the wall.
And thank you.